my pen?
Yep.
Oh, right here. I'm gonna use pink instead.
Yeah, I can
Alrighty.
see. It's good.
You're not lukewarm. You're cold train.
I am.
You go for kickoff. I will recommend you start flipping on your kickoffs, right? I think I probably said this in our last session, but flipping on kickoffs is becoming more and more important, especially the higher up you get, right?
Yeah.
So definitely get used to flipping on kickoffs. I don't care what type of flip you do, right? Obviously, you don't have to be speed flipping. It's really unnecessary to speed flip. Um, you can just go for a basic front flip kickoff. Maybe you want a diagonal flip. Maybe you want a side flip, right? They all work plenty well. You just have to figure out how to kind of do them. And yeah, the only way you can really do that is with practice. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Alrighty. With the block though, get a pretty solid kickoff nonetheless. And it's just a goal, unfortunately. That's how threes go sometimes. Things get awkward sometimes. Get back post here. You guys are queued together. Are you guys in comms? Do you want me to kind of
Yes.
critique that?
Yeah. Yeah. We're in comms.
Alrighty. Do you want me to kind of critique that, or
Sure.
what do you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anything.
Alrighty. And then are you guys, whenever you're calming, are you hard calming, or are you kind of just talking about whatever and then calming whatever you think
No, we're
needs?
playing. It's pretty. It's hard com.
All right, cool. Here, there's a little bit of an interesting thing that happens here. Right?
Okay.
And it's in the English is hard. You can't spell, I can't speak, so. But yeah, there's a little bit of an interesting thing that happens here in the sense that like either you or lukewarm could go for this ball.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter. Um, it's sometimes it's a little bit easier to have lukewarm go for this ball, and what do you think the reason behind that is?
Well, I can. Well, I really don't know. So I can like I don't know, stay back and cover the net maybe if he gets challenged, like if that window licker goes up, because he's. Other than that, I really don't know. Or unless he's got, I guess he's got more boost than me too. He just picked up the mid boost, so. But I really don't know other than that.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Not a big deal, right? It's in reality, it's kind of a small, just like nitpicky type of thing.
Okay.
But the issue with you going for this ball, um, is your touches are always kind of forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he can look for a touch to the side. The issue with touches forwards is they're very hard to actually get a touch where you can control it and get it around somebody who's trying to challenge you, right? You have to be very precise with your forward touch, in order to try to get it around somebody.
Okay.
So that's why it's a little bit of an interesting situation where you could just have lukewarm go for this ball and guarantee possession, or you could have you go for this ball and you just have to be a little bit more precise with your play. So yeah, does that kind of make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, perfect. And if you feel comfortable getting a softer touch here, you kind of just flipped into the ball because you panicked a little bit after
Mm-hmm.
back flipping. No big deal, obviously. Just try to keep the panic to a minimum, right? I'm gonna ask you a question right here. And I guarantee you, at another point in this replay, I'll ask you the same question.
Okay.
My question for you is, who is challenging?
Nobody.
Nobody, right? When nobody's challenging, you have what? You have
I
time.
can.
You
I
have
got.
space.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just to kind of reinforce the idea that possession is definitely a little bit better than banging the ball away here, right? Because and just to kind of like go a little bit deeper into that is like after you boom the ball away here, you're stuck in a position where like you just have to go through you just have to go for the demo, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
too awkward to try to get a good touch here, so you just have to go for the demo to try to keep pressure that way. Whereas if you get a more controlling touch on your first touch, you just have pressure immediately, right? And you have pressure in the way that you want to, right? So if you just wanted to dribble it into a flick, you could do that. If you wanted to try to just take it up in the air and maybe like get it off their backboard or something, then you could do that as well.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Mm.
Alrighty, perfect. You rotate back wide. This is fine. I normally recommend people rotate along pads here, but in this specific situation, going for the boost is fine. Just because you want Nubly to go for the ball, so. A little bit passive here as second man, right? You say yeah?
Oh yeah. No, I was. I my teammates behind me, so I could definitely
Yeah, exactly,
can be.
right? this isn't twos, right? If you were playing twos, your second man's actually very good. It's actually very, very good. But yeah, because it's threes, obviously you can just push through here. You don't need to wait third man because it's unnecessary. Like in this situation, Lukewarm was gonna go back post, and then he sees you, and he's just like, okay, maybe I should play second man for my teammate, right? So yeah,
Okay.
it's mostly just like, in threes, just to kind of give you a basic rundown really quick. You have three main roles, right? You have your first man,
Mhm.
and what is your first man's job?
I mean, put pressure. Like it's they've got the ball. They're making a shot at the net, or
Yeah, exactly, right. Play if they're on offense, right? If they have control, then they would play the ball, and if they're on defense or the other team's making a counterattack or something, they
Mhm.
pressure the ball for you,
Yeah.
right? This can look like fake challenges, real challenges, stuff like that. Anywhere where they kind of force the ball back to their teammates, right? So that's first man job. Play slash pressure the ball. Pretty self-explanatory, right? You practice it every single day. So I don't really need to go too in depth with that one, right? What do you think second man's job is?
to back up
And just to kind of give
just
you
to
give
back
you
up the first man, I would, you know, be ready for a. So like, in what scenario? Like in the orange team scenario, like what would the? I mean, basically your second man's just to back up the first man. Play for like if the first man's playing for a 50, second man needs to be ready for it to come out, or
yeah,
just
exactly, right? So they're playing support.
yeah.
They're there to support the first man. This can look like playing for a pass. Sometimes it looks like just going for a demo to clear out a defender for first man, right?
Okay.
So yeah, you're just kind of supporting the play. Any 50 that comes out mid, you'll be there, right? And that's kind of second man job. What do you think third man job is?
To kind of play back if you get a big clear or something like that, you're back.
So what we like
To
to call that is worst case scenario, right?
okay.
They play for the worst case scenario happening. So like, for example, if you have a play where first man is in their corner, right? Actually, do this with blue team. We can color coordinate this like really cool people. You have first man in the corner. Where do you think second man should be in a play like this?
Probably kind of behind him, but more out towards the middle, like in between the wall and the middle of the field.
Kind of use like maybe the pads to describe it, or something like
I'll
that.
go from where your cursor's at, like the pad that's up to the
Mhm.
right of your cursor, ish.
This one.
Yeah.
Alrighty, cool. Yeah, that's a pretty solid second man spot. Obviously, it depends a little bit on the play. I kind of tricked you with that question. Sometimes second man can be up here and it's okay. Sometimes they need to be back here. It really just depends on how you read the play actually unfolding, right?
Okay.
But yeah, that's basically it, right? You're just supporting your first man. If the 50 ever comes out mid, then you'll be there to maybe look for a shot or something, right? And then your third man, usually he wants to be a little bit deeper, usually back around here. That way any big clear comes through. You're playing worst case scenario, right? So you're playing the worst case scenario happening, you're able to clear it back into the play, right?
Okay.
Because if you end up too far forward as third man and the ball goes over your head, you didn't do a very good job as third man, right? Because now you have to turn back and you guys are back on defense instead of continuing to play offense. Does that make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, cool. I'll try to reinforce this idea of the deep third, and you'll probably notice it in the replay as we go through it. Just because, in my opinion, it's one of the most underrated roles in threes. Alrighty, does that all kind of make sense? Do you have any
It does.
questions, comments,
No.
about any of that? Alrighty, perfect.
I,
Try to go for a play here. Not bad. You get pretty solid pressure off of it. Our recovery may not be the greatest.
no, my recoveries in this game are god awful, so that's what I'll be. It's
Be
not
a
the.
recurring theme then?
That's going to be a recurring thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, just really focus on the biggest thing is just getting your wheels on the surface, right?
Hmm.
And it's kind of just judging what surface you're gonna land on, right? So you did it pretty solid here, right? You're gonna land on the wall, so you got your wheels facing towards the wall, right? And then here, where are you gonna land now? You're gonna land on the ground, right?
Hmm.
So you want your wheels beneath you. That way, whenever you land on the ground, you're driving straight away. You're being as fast as possible with that recovery.
Okay.
Right? Does that kind of make sense?
It does.
Alrighty. And you'll have to work that into your muscle memory a little bit. But after you get used to it, it should be pretty much no problem for you. You end up getting bumped into the boost though. Nice, pretty solid recovery, land on our wheels. Here, we got a little bit too close to the play, right? Instead of cutting in like this, because in reality, we're in a weird sort of like limbo area, right? We're in a weird sort of state of limbo where like Noobly could just play second man here. He could just turn in and play second man and support Lukewarm's play. He could just play for a pass. And in reality, this is the case because we're the furthest back, right?
Okay.
Whenever we're the furthest back like this and this ball ends up coming out to Lukewarm instead of us, then we just turn back and stop playing so midfield, right? Because who's also playing midfield?
Yeah.
Right? Noobly is going to. So here, you're better off just kind of turning back and make sure you're covering that deep third that I talked about. That was so important, right? That way you guys can end up clearing it back into the play and stuff like that. Because after this sort of play happens, now there's no third man there to clear it back into the play, and then Noobly has to take an awkward sort of touch, right?
Okay.
So yeah, kind of instant proof to my theorem, right? Deeper thirds is honestly very good because here, imagine a world where you're rotating out like this touch comes through, and you just have a shot on net right away if you want to go for that. Or you could just go for a chip and then maybe touch it up to the backboard or something, right?
Okay.
So yeah. Pretty solid third man here. You're able to take the free ball.
Except for I can't.
I'm going to ask you another question here. Who's challenging you?
Nobody.
Exactly, right? How much time do we have?
A lot.
A lot. Exactly. So what's the point in rushing this ball?
There's not.
There is no point. Exactly. I like you. You're saying everything I'm saying. So yeah, you kind of get the general idea here. And this is mostly just an awareness thing. But sometimes you'll have the awareness, like you'll realize it, and you'll still just end up booming the ball away for seemingly no reason, right? And it's just because you have such a bad habit of booming the ball away, so we'll kind of try to work that out of you.
Okay.
And the way that you do that is kind of just consciously thinking about it. So like you think about, okay, now, like in this situation, you think about, okay, window licker turned away, nobody's challenging me, right? And then you're like, wait, nobody's challenging me, then I can control this ball, right? So you don't even have to jump up for it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, cool, yeah. You try to look for a demo, you rotate out. Maybe getting a little bit too aggressive as third man a little too early, right?
Okay.
So like I said before, the deeper thirds, I'm not a big fan of you cutting across how you do, in the sense that like I was okay with it initially whenever you turned back, like I think it was like right here or so, but I'm not okay with this turn forward, right? There's no reason to turn forward here. You have a teammate in the corner and you have a teammate recovering from their net, right? So if we end up getting too aggressive on this and we end up coming a little too far forward, if they get a touch over my head, who's behind me?
Nobody.
Exactly, right? See, I'm just thinking everything I'm thinking. But yeah, nobody's behind us, so it's just super risky to push up as third man here. Instead, you're better off just taking a wider line, reapproaching it a little bit later, right? So maybe you can do something like this if you want to pick up pads.
Okay.
I don't think you need to pick up pads because you grabbed 100 boost, so you could kind of just rotate across like this and then turn in. I like to use this pad as a good general sort of area for third man,
Okay.
because this is far enough back where you can almost clear anything back into the play, right?
Okay.
Does that all make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, perfect. I'm gonna kind of erase that really quick. And then also here, Lukewarm, you can see, tried to force for us, but we ended up just kind of cutting him off, right? So if Lukewarm actually did force for us and we were playing a little bit further back, like right here, if this touch comes through and Lukewarm faked it, then the ball would actually be like rolling at us right now, and we just have a free ball in that sense. Right?
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, perfect. And then again, just a small little thing, but like your recovery, land on your wheels, right?
Yep.
Especially whenever your wheels are already facing down like this. Your wheels are already facing down right here. You don't need to try to do any extraneous rotations, right? No need to air roll your car at all. And you're already facing back as well. So here, keep your car still, land on your wheels, and get back as fast as possible.
Okay.
You rotate out because your teammate was in the net. Lukewarm goes for another play. Maybe just be a little bit more patient here, right? Especially whenever Lukewarm looks like he's gonna follow this, and this is also sort of a comms thing. Is just call Lukewarm back onto the ball, or so say like you again or something, right? Or get one more touch or something
Okay.
like that, right? And kind of just indicate to him that you want him to get another touch here, right? Because in reality, if you just go for this ball straight up, and then this guy goes for this ball straight up, who's beating who?
He's beating me.
Yeah, exactly, right? He's way closer to the ball. Way, way closer. So it's easier to have Lukewarm maybe try to follow this touch again, and look for a touch around this guy or something. And then you can be there as second man doing what?
Just waiting for it to
Yeah, exactly.
come out.
Supporting
Yeah,
him, right? Supporting his play. Does that all make sense?
it does.
Alrighty, perfect, perfect. You end up getting a demo though. That's always nice. Teammate tries to come in and score.
Another horrible recovery.
Yeah.
They're
Makes
bad,
sense.
man. I picked the worst
Feels,
game
right?
for this. Yeah, no, it's.
You should turn in here. Nice. Maybe a little bit hesitant, but you get the shot. Very good. Just a little bit of hesitation here. I'd prefer if it was a little bit more fluid. But you end up getting the job done, right? So good general idea, just maybe a little bit quicker on the execution sometimes.
Okay.
And then nice try on the shot. That's all just ours, right?
Another horrible
Not the
recovery.
best recovery either.
I told you, man.
Recovering out of the top of the net like this, just jump and then air roll. That way
Okay.
you land on your wheels, right? It's just the fastest way to do it. And then if you're very, very comfortable with that, you can try wave dashing as well.
Okay.
So wave dash on your landing, but that's a little bit more advanced if you're just comfortable jumping down off the crossbar and then using air roll to land on your wheels. That's fine too. You don't need to incorporate the air roll yet, or the wave dash. You go for his corner boost, starve them a little bit. Nice. He passes it upfield. You go third man. Our third is just far forward here, right?
Okay.
If a 50 happens here and it doesn't go well for Lukewarm, then we're just in a rough spot, right?
Okay.
So here the mistake has already happened. You could actually just recover this mistake a little bit by just like turning back and then re-engaging later facing the play. But in reality, we should never have to do that because the mistake actually starts right here, right? That turn right there. Why turn in so early, right? You don't need to.
Okay.
You're playing worst case scenario. So rotate in a little bit deeper, and then you want to re-engage the play, facing it being further back. That way you're ready to clear everything back upfield, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And honestly, a really good indicator for where third man should be if he's facing forward is at this pad. I really like this pad for third man. And I like using pads in general as a way to kind of explain where positioning should be. That way you always kind of have some sort of marker, right? And the cool thing is that there's another pad directly opposite of that, right? These pads are mirrored. You can obviously see like this and then like this, right? It's the same like that on your side, right? So there's going to be a pad like right here, right? Almost directly to the right of this, but yeah, you kind of get the general idea. The pads are very important because they kind of they're not only do they give you boost, they also give you a sort of way to recognize where you should be as second and third man, right? Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
Alrighty, perfect, perfect. They end up getting a goal though because they're goats. Look at that. Do. Kind of zoned out for a little bit.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. It's late, man. Well, I don't know where you're at, but it's late here. For me,
Yeah,
at
it's
least.
10:40 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, just don't go for it, right?
Okay.
Or use your voice, right? Use your voice and say, "Hey, Lukewarm, get off this ball. I got it," right?
Okay.
And by that I mean just say, "I got it."
No, I got you.
Yeah, if you want to go for the ball, just call it here. It is technically better for Lukewarm to go because his touch is going where,
It's going more towards the net,
right? And your touch is going where?
into the corner.
Where there are how many people?
3.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you wanted to, you could play for the pass here. You could play upfield to the right, and then Lukewarm could maybe get a touch like this that ends up going over to the right, and then maybe you're able to turn it in the first shot or something, right? So that's also an option. So if you wanted to play something like that, then obviously you would just end up doing something like this, and then call right. And then if Lukewarm gets a touch over here, how he does, we're just up, and then we look for a shot off of it, right?
Okay.
Do.
Missed.
Yeah, that's how it goes in threes sometimes.
Yeah.
I like that you rotate along pads, obviously very good. The one thing I don't like is you're rotating into where?
The Front post.
middle of the net.
I couldn't. Yeah, or the middle of the net.
Middle
Yeah.
of the net, right? Not necessarily front post yet, but it could very easily turn into front post. You're right about that. So yeah, you're kind of rotating into the middle of the net here. I'm just not a big fan, right?
Okay.
You're better off rotating back post. That way, everything's a lot more natural, right? If a shot ever does come through, in this situation, you're not so much at risk, right? Because Lukewarm got a very good demo, so he relieved a lot of pressure that way. But it's just a matter of principle, right? And trying to get yourself into the habit of rotating back post. So if you wanted to grab this 12 pad still, then you can see something like this, where you rotate through, grab this pad, then this pad, then this pad right here, and then you play back post. Or you could just rotate through and grab this pad, and then play back post like that. Either way it works.
Okay.
Yeah, the back post right now is just kind of a matter of principle, right? In this situation, it doesn't matter so much, but it will matter in future situations for sure. You jumped too early for this, right? No need to jump so early.
Okay.
Jump a little bit later, and have you... What rank are you? You said you're D2?
I'm like diamond. I might even be diamond 1, maybe diamond 2. Like it's yeah, diamond 1, high diamond 1, maybe diamond low diamond 2.
Alrighty. Then I don't think fast aerials are very necessary for you to learn yet. They would be very useful at this rank, but you're not playing a C2, C3 every day, so. I'm fine with pretty much all the decisions here. You end up rotating wide here. You got into this position after the aerial. Yeah, so you rotate wide, grab this big boost, and you play a pretty solid third man for your team. I'm a big fan. Lukewarm rotates out, so you try to go for this ball. You were right to go for this ball. Your angle is a lot easier than Noobly's is. So yeah, just use your voice, right? Comment.
Okay.
You are hard commenting, so you guys probably both just called I got and then come up here. So yeah, it does happen sometimes. But yeah. You might just work for a little bit too long here. The reason I say that is because it's difficult for you to try to turn into a second man position, right? It's just very awkward sometimes. So instead, you might just be better off kind of flipping out straight away, right? So after your recovery here, also on your recovery, try to land on your wheels. I don't know how viable it was in this situation. Yeah, you were just more so focused on the shot, right? So I don't really blame you. A more high level thing is to try to focus on the recovery as well as the shot. But like you're at a rank where like that's not really necessary yet, so I won't harp on it too much. But here, yeah, you just kind of end up awkward whenever you jump. Instead of jumping here, you might just be better off rotating out and then having Noobly come in and play second man, right?
Okay.
Just because like you trying to play second man here gets very awkward. He ends up getting a touch out to Noobly. Nice. You play close on pads.
Late to jump to it.
Yeah, just wait to jump. You already recognized it, so I don't have to point anything out, obviously. You're a very good self-critic. That's what we like to see. Go for the shot. Place to bottom left. Beautiful. In this situation, use your empty jump before your shot. Don't do that. You might have meant to flip and you just mistimed it a little bit. If that was the case, then you know it is what it is. You'll get better with time. But there's definitely a situation where even if you aren't going to flip into this, just don't use your empty jump before your touch, right? Because you just make your touch a lot weaker by doing that.
Okay.
So if you are just going to single jump into this, it's fine. If you want to go for a more powerful shot and you want to test yourself a little bit, then you can also flip into it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, perfect. Get a pass down to your teammate and he scores. Nice, good play. Really good pass. It was actually funny. You remember what I was talking to you about deep thirds?
Yes.
What happens here?
Ball gets cleared over my head.
Mm-hmm. So imagine a world where instead of kind of cutting across the field and going super far forward how you do, you rotate a little bit wider, maybe rotate back along these pads, and then your face forward right here as this touch comes through, right? You're just up and maybe even shooting it if this guy flips forward,
Okay.
right? But you're able to clear it back into the play, right? Is the biggest thing. So then now, instead of having all three of you rotating back, you could have you coming in for this ball, looking for a touch upfield, and then one of them could decide to lurk for your touch and then play second man for you, right? Or
Okay.
play upfield for you, and try to play for a redirect or something like that, right? Or they could look for a demo on the third man as you look for the shot as well. Does that sort of make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, perfect. The biggest thing here is just making sure we have a deeper third. That way we can actually go for this ball. The touch you get afterwards is all mechanical, so there's no real point in making it hypothetical just yet. But yeah, you should rotate back post here. Almost. You're getting there. Yeah, you're showing that for the save though. Nice. Get it clear out. Very good. Okay, so you actually do something that is not, it's not bad, but it's a little advanced, right? And I'm just not a big fan of advanced. I'm a very big fan of simple below a certain rank.
Okay.
Honestly, it's below like GC2. I'm a big fan of simple, right? And the way you keep this play simple is just don't do a rotation like this, right? You end up doing a rotation like this and you're facing sideways and it works, right? It works for some crazy reasons. And it requires some mechanics to pull off well. And you kind of just got fortunate that the 50 ended up getting lost almost right in front of you, right? But imagine a world where it actually ends up getting lost to the back left right here, right? Then you have to kind of try to turn like this and things can get awkward, right? Maybe this takes a little bit too much time and their second man's challenging you by then, right?
Okay.
So I'm a big fan of simple. The way you keep this simple is you play a what?
Play a deeper third. Sorry, man. I had to cough and I didn't want to do that in your ear.
You're all good, right? But yeah, a deeper third here. And then any touch that comes through, you're ready for it, right? That touch to the left happens and you're just here, right? A touch to the right happens like this, and you can still get to the ball maybe a little bit later, but you're still able to get to the ball, right? So yeah, deeper third here.
Okay.
And you'll kind of notice that will always be a recurring thing for you. I'll tell you to play deeper thirds, and you'll play deeper thirds, but they won't be deep enough, or they'll be too deep, or they'll be deep in the wrong situations. And yeah, it's all something that you just have to do it over and over, kind of just exposure therapy, right?
Okay.
You do it over and over, and then eventually you get used to it. You learn when to play super deep, when you don't need to play so deep, and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, cool, yeah. Basically, I'm just telling you it's like mechanics. It takes hours to learn. It's not something that you can just pick up. Go for a shot here. This is all mechanical. It is all mechanical, and this is a tough shot, right? It's not an easy shot. But I will introduce to you. Oh, actually, our teammate's not behind us, is he? Probably impossible. Yeah, there's no way he's getting this. All right, cool. Yeah, you're fine going for this touch. As long as you realize there's no third man behind you, then you're fine going for this touch. And then obviously the execution of this is all mechanical. I'm not really going to go too far in depth on it. But the ball is so high that you're usually better off just double jumping. So yeah, you'd slow down a little bit, double jump, and then try to get around the side of the ball where you're kind of touching it like about here. That way you're touching it like towards the net.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. You kind of go for a touch like that. I think you might have thought you still had your flip. So they end up missing a shot. Very fortunate. Ooh, touch it around him. You dice them up. He gets a touch to the left. You're here. Ooh. The back flip.
But a backflip, yeah.
You're going for the goal of your life.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Yeah, obviously all of this is very, very good, right? And I'll kind of just go into overhead and kind of I'll commentate for you, right? I'll hype you up a little bit.
All right.
So let's see. How did this rotation actually happen? Okay. You missed the ball. It happens. Lucor misses the ball too. We all just missed the ball. It happens. It is what it is. You rotate back, get a nice save, get it around both of them. Nice. You actually play for your teammate's pass here. You're playing second man. In this specific situation, it's actually called extension. But extension is basically just a fancier word for second man.
Okay.
Yeah, you're playing second man for your teammate. You go for the shot of your wife, and it doesn't come through. But you played that all very well, right? You had a nice rotation back into getting it around 1, and it ends up going mid, so you know to leave it for your third man, and then he passes it to you on the left, right? And you were playing second man for him, so that was all very good.
Okay.
You end up playing close to this after you backflip, not bad. A little bit inaccurate here. I'm gonna ask you a question real quick. You
Okay.
wanna guess what that question is?
Who's challenging?
Yeah, who's challenging, right? Everybody's backwards. All of them, except for maybe one of them actually. Yeah, Window Wicker's not backwards, but like this guy, how backwards is he?
He's going. I mean, they're both going. He's going towards the net, and he's going towards corner boost. So
Exactly, right? They're not in a spot where they can challenge you immediately. And honestly, I'm fine if you're going for this ball straight away. But just make sure you're touching it around this guy, right? And then you have a little bit more time before this guy challenges you. But yeah, that's my question for you. It's just who's challenging. That's it. But yeah. Lukewarm gets a pretty solid save. You rotate back along the mid pads, which was good. Until you were supersonic and proceeded. Oh, you actually only used 4 more boosts. That's on me actually. I thought you used a lot more boost than you needed to. Oh, you actually did, right? So you were supersonic when you landed. Right here, right? You're supersonic in the air. 52 boost right now, and you end up going down to 41. Right?
okay.
A little bit of a nitpick, but boost conservation like that starts to matter more and more as you go up the ranks, right? At C2 and C3, that starts to matter a lot, right?
Okay.
Also, the other thing I will say the other thing I will say here is you rotate back along the mid pad line initially, which is good. I prefer if you stick along to the mid pad line, obviously because it's very useful to rotate down. And then once you get to here, rotate back post if you need to. Right?
Okay.
If you need to cut in for your teammate, obviously you can do that as well, right? So if you get to this pad and you read the 50 and it ends up staying close, then you can obviously cut in if you need to. But other than that, mostly just rotating back post here and just playing defense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, perfect. Because here we just end up a little bit too close to the play, and then it's awkward to turn this sharp for the 50, and we end up getting beat to it, right? So he gets a touch in the corner. Lukewarm's there. Okay, he touches it high. You go back post. Nice. Your teammates are destroying each other in the corner, but you're playing a good third man. Clear it back upfield. Noobly's there. Goes for the shot. Oh, he places it in the corner, but it's fine because we'll be there, right? Boom, pass mid, shot, nice. Yeah, I think I'm very okay with all of this play actually. You wait back post, that's fine. You get a clear back upfield to your teammate. He touches it into the corner. You play it. Yeah, this is all very good. This is all very, very good. And you get a pass mid. The pass mid's a little bit risky sometimes. In this specific situation, it's fine because Noobly goes for the bump. In other situations, if Noobly doesn't go for the bump and he just rotates out and goes for the corner boost over here, passing it mid's very dangerous, right? Because then this guy can go for the ball. And he might just beat Lukewarm to the ball, and then Lukewarm, if he ends up getting baited in by the pass, you guys are short on, right? So yeah, that's a little bit of a, it's kind of a nitpick, especially for this MMR, but it starts to matter more and more. Does that kind of make sense a little bit?
Yeah, it does.
Alrighty, perfect. So yeah, that's the end of the replay. They forfeit after that because you guys are goated. Yeah, I'll kind of go through. I'll give you a quick top 3 list really quick, and then I think we're going to be all good.
I bet I can guess what the first one is. Recoveries. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Probably that.
Actually, let's do that. Why don't you guess what the first one is?
Deeper third man.
Wow, look at you, right? You're thinking the same things as me.
All right.
Deeper thirds, right? I've showed you the advantages enough. I've showed you situations where you should have played a deeper third, and you guys would have had a lot more pressure off of it, right? So I'm sure I don't need to back this up anymore. I just need to tell you play deeper thirds. Obviously, I already told you my little secret. This pad right here and this pad right here. These are the god spots for third man on offense, right? Usually, I prefer same side third man. Wow. Usually, I prefer same side third man. So if your teammates are making a play in front of you over here, then I prefer you be at this pad. But there also is you can also play opposite side third mans where your teammates are in this corner over here, and you play at this pad over here, right? Usually if that's the case though, you end up actually facing them a little bit and kind of being faced this direction. But yeah, in general though, especially at like such a low rank, And because there's no real like play styles, there's no like team play styles yet. Mostly just stick to same side third bands where you're playing behind your teammates, and in a pretty solid third band position, a pretty solid deep third band position, right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Alrighty, perfect, perfect. You want to take a shot at number 2?
Let's see, I'm trying to think. No, I don't know. I knew that was going to be the first one, though. Go ahead.
I can give you a hint. If
Okay, go ahead.
I asked you a question repeatedly during the.
Oh, who's challenging? So just patience, more control.
Patience / control, right? And just making sure you're making the most effective plays you can on the ball is really a big thing, right? So many situations where you just ended up hitting a ball a little bit too hard, sometimes not even to a teammate, right? And then things were really bad because it's just a giveaway of possession at that point, right? So yeah, I'm sure I don't need to back that up much more, right? Plenty of situations where nobody was challenging you ended up booming the ball away, and you guys lost a lot of pressure off that, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty, and then number 3, you actually already said it yourself, recoveries. I don't care about mechanics in 99.9% of situations, but recoveries might be the exception for me. That and just hitting the ball, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, recovery is obviously very, very, very important. I'm sure I don't need to go into much more detail with this. In this game, it didn't matter so much, right? Because you had really good teammates who could make up for you. But recoveries can sometimes just single-handedly win you a game, right? So yeah, just kind of working on your recoveries. Make sure you're always landing on your wheels. Being face down on the wall whenever you land on a wall, if that happens, is also a very big learning point for a lot of people, right? So yeah, I definitely recommend writing this list down if you haven't already. Write this list down, kind of keep it near you while you play. If you write it down on a sheet of paper, or if you have a second monitor, you can write it down on a notepad, and kind of just keep it near you while you play. That way, if you're ever losing, you can't really figure out why, or you're just feeling bad and don't really know what's wrong. You can kind of just reference this, and hopefully it can just help you out a little bit. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it does.
Alrighty, perfect. Are you good to go? Did you already write all this down?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alrighty, perfect. So yeah, now's the time for questions. If you have any questions you want to ask me, either about the replay or just about anything you're curious about in general, you're good to go ahead and ask me about that.